symptoms. So I'll read a little bit from my notes on Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. It's his appearance day today. Devotees are fasting till midday, 12 o'clock. And there'll be an arti after class. So, of all the things that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur said, there was a few which were collected, well, which were considered the essence of everything that he said. Let's see if we can find it. So in that book by Bhakti Vikash Maharaj about Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, it mentions that he was a very heavy preacher, and he was quite tall as well. And in Bengal, most Bengalis don't go past 4 feet. Bhaktisiddhanta was over 6 foot. And sometimes he would just grab a Bengali Mayavadi and start shaking him about and say, "Why don't you give up this nonsense?" And one time he was in an auditorium, and I found it. He chastised, well, this person was arguing with him philosophically. So Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he chastised him or philosophically corrected him so heavily that the person had to go out and change his dhoti. So that's heavy. So heavy, in fact, one time he turned up at Radhakund in a white Rolls Royce, and all the Babajis were freaking out because they're totally like renounced, and they were already looking down the nose at Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur because there were so many things he would do in the mat, which was to use dioramas and modern technology and bring lots of people in, and use the printing press and so many things, and they were thinking that this was all materialistic and that he should be renounced, you know. So he turns up in this white Rolls Royce in Radhakund, and everybody gathers round, you know, they're all amazed. You can imagine in India at that time, a white Rolls Royce. And the Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he stands up and he says, "Now I will speak about Yukta Vairagya." And he gave a discourse on how to use the material energy in the service of Krishna. And it's Falgu Vairagyam, is if you're falsely renouncing things that could have been used in the service. Like Srila Prabhupada would never have got the starting block because you're not supposed to travel over the ocean if you're a sannyasi, so that would have been the end of the spreading of Krishna consciousness. But Srila Prabhupada understood that utility is the principle, and therefore he used so many things in the mood of his Guru Maharaj, who was an innovator. So these are considered the gems of all the things, the essence of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur's teachings. We are put to test and trial in this world. Only those who attend the kirtan of the devotees can succeed. What do you think that means? Only those who attend the kirtan of the devotees can succeed.
So people who are in the association of devotees and, practicing in the association of devotees. Because we hear time and time again, if you don't have the association of devotees, then, it's very difficult to maintain standards and such.
Yeah, it's interesting that the success is to be in the association of the devotees. That is the success. Because if you die in the kirtan of the devotees, then you go back to Godhead. You stand a very good chance of going back to Godhead. So that's the safest place to be. So whatever test or trial you're going through, if you can somehow seek out and attend the kirtan of the devotees, then that will be the success. Whereas if you're going through tests and trials and you come to the conclusion, do you know what? I'm never going to attend another kirtan with those Hare Krishna devotees ever again, then you've just failed. And that is actually a statistical, reasonable chance of happening. The devotee will leave the kirtan of the devotees. Every spot on earth where discourses on the Lord are held are places of pilgrimage. So that could also apply to book distribution, because every time you give somebody one of Srila Prabhupada's books, that's full of the discourses on the Lord. It's either the Lord himself, Smriti, or the Smriti and, is it Manu? One is Shruti, that's it, yes, Shruti and Smriti. Smriti is spoken by man and Shruti is spoken by Krishna. So the book is full of Smriti and Shruti. So wherever you're giving those books out, they become places of pilgrimage. Possession of objects not related to Krishna are our main malady. So malady is like a weakness or a sickness. And the stage of anatta nivritti is to get free from unwanted things. So a malady is a disease or an ailment, a serious problem. So if you have a disease and you don't want to get free from the disease and be in a healthy condition, like some people may get so used to being in a disease condition that they just start finding that comfortable. Because they don't have to do too much, they just have to be sick. So possession of objects not related to Krishna are our main malady. Let me not desire anything but the highest good for my worst enemies. So that kind of wipes out resentment and retribution and what's it called when you get your own back? Revenge, yeah. So that's revenge out the window. Let me not desire anything but the highest good for my worst enemies. So there's a story, one time this man kept heckling when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur was trying to give a discourse, and it was causing a big disturbance. Every time he would go somewhere, this person would turn up and he would start creating a commotion, and everyone would get distracted by it. And the disciples were really annoyed. They could see that it was disturbing the whole presentation that the Guru Maharaj wanted to give. And then one day they came running in and they said, Guru Maharaj, we've got some really good news. He goes, yeah, what is it? He goes, you know that person that was heckling you all the time? She just died. And they're like, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur burst into tears. He said, my best friend, I've lost my best friend. So that's a little glimpse, not into that. And it was surprising how feature he was Singha Guru. He was so heavy, so powerful the way, so fearless the way he delivered the philosophy. But beneath it, he was such a humble devotee that anyone that was helping him to become disgusted with the material energy, he considered his best friend. As dalliance with the bodily luxury increases, so wanes the spirit of service of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada, he once said that our real success is our enthusiasm. So of all the things that you have at your disposal, you may have a really big temple, a really big arti tray that you do the arti with. You may have a really big plate that you put your prasadam on, a really big car, a really big book skull, a really big Lakshmi skull. You may have all these big, big things. Srila Prabhupada said, our success is our enthusiasm. So that enthusiasm is the spirit of service. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, a dead man cannot preach. So you may not realize you're a dead man. You may want to do the dead man test. So we say, okay, we want you to make some ghee wicks. And you make them and you say, how do you feel? I still feel alive. Okay. I want you to peel a carrot. How do you feel? I still feel alive. Okay, I want you to go out, distribute some books today. Glasgow City Centre. How do you feel? Dead. So that's the spirit of service. And if we're dallying with bodily luxuries, then this will reduce our devotional service. It's compared to when reeds grow around a disused well. They take all the moisture out of the well and dry it out eventually. So when unwanted things start to grow in the heart, they drink all the enthusiasm, and then eventually we dry up. We don't have any enthusiasm anymore. Those favored by God find their path set with thorns. Does anyone feel like they're favored by God? It's a different way of looking at it, right? Because we tend to think that if we're favored by God, then it'll be a breeze. We'll just float out, and people will come up to us and ask us for Bhagavad Gitas and give huge donations. Then we know we're favored. But actually, if you're favored, then your path will be set with thorns. Chant the holy name loudly and with attachment. This will drive away inertia. Anyone experience inertia when they're chanting? Worldly evils and pests. So if you're experiencing inertia, it could be because you're being attacked by worldly evils and pests. Be indifferent to bizarre gossips. I think that means Facebook. Stick firmly to your cherished goals. No lack or impediments of the world will ever stand in your way. There's a funny cartoon, and this guru is he's about to give the beads to his disciple. And he says, and the disciple's like this. And he's saying to the disciple, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling, and no Facebook. The disciple's having second thoughts. I don't know if I can do this. Stick firmly to your cherished goals. No lack or impediments of the world will ever stand in your way. So, being enthusiastic and being determined to pursue your cherished goals. If you don't give that up, then whatever else comes in the way won't be able to stand in your way. Devotees of the Lord feel the presence of God everywhere, but those averse to the Lord deny his existence anywhere. So as we're going through the intermediary stages of advancing in devotional service, from being a conditioned soul to a pure devotee, then at times we'll experience we are averse to the Lord. And because of that aversion, then we subtly or grossly deny his existence. We find it hard to see his existence in the deities, in the spiritual master's instruction, in the seva that we've been given. But if we're actually in the right mood and we're devoting ourselves, then we'll feel the presence of God everywhere. Our span of life on earth is short. Our life will be crowned with success if the body wears out with constant discourses on Hare. So that's all you've got to do. Just wear your body out, distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. Look within, amend yourself rather than pry into the frailties of others. So there was a few occasions where Shrila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur was annoyed because his disciples, seeing that he was often chastising and correcting people, they thought they would like to do that as well, you know. And he turned around and he said to them, why are you trying to do this very, very difficult service of correcting people? It's such a difficult service to do. Just concentrate on correcting yourself. I've been given this duty, and as a spiritual master, it's my duty to chastise and correct the disciple so that it doesn't go wrong. But that's not your duty. You just have to chastise and correct yourself unless you've been given that position of responsibility. Maybe not a temple president, but you're department head. You have some responsibility. And then what goes along with that position is the distasteful service of having to correct others, which means that you lose your friends very easily by doing that. So look within, amend yourself rather than pry into the frailties of others. In this world of Maya, averse to the Lord, full of trials and tribulations, only patience, humility, and respect for others are our friends for Hari Bhajan. So if we want to be good at chanting, because when we're picking up the bead bag, we're trying to chant, but a lot of the ability to chant is predetermined by what we've been doing before we started chanting japa, and that will perhaps sometimes impede and compromise our ability to chant, because whilst going through all the different trials and tribulations, we've forgot the quality of patience, humility, and respect for others. So then that will impact on your ability to chant. Even if you're trying to chant like anything, with all the concentration that you can muster, if you have that shadow of impatience, pride, and disrespect, then it will make it difficult for you to chant. When faults in others misguide and delude you, have patience and introspect. Find faults in yourself. Know that others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself. So that's a really deep one, a really powerful one. When faults in others misguide and delude you, have patience and introspect. So people are annoying you, you can see clearly that they're making some mistake, they're doing something wrong, and that upsets you. So they say if you can spot it, it means you've got it. So what it means is if something really upsets you that somebody else is doing, then it means you must have some anartha like that yourself, if it's upsetting you, you know. If it misguides you and deludes you, then it means the problem's really with you. Then he says, have patience and introspect, find faults in yourself. Know others that others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself. So what do you think it means by that? Others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself.
Well, it all depends how do you react to these things. There's a lot of things we cannot change externally, but we can affect how we react on all these things that are happening around us.
Yeah, and it's interesting that by finding faults and becoming misguided, you're actually harming yourself. Although you may think, I'm going to do something to this devotee. You may be thinking, I'm going to plan how I'm going to harm this devotee, but actually what you're really doing is you're harming yourself. And others can only harm you if you react to them in the wrong way. That's how they harm you, by not reacting in the proper way. And if you do, then you harm yourself. So it's very counterintuitive, because when people are having a go at you or annoying you, then the immediate knee-jerk reaction is to try and cause some problem for that person. And in that way you can safeguard yourself. But actually by doing that, you harm yourself. I wish that every selfless, tender-hearted person of Gaudiya Math be prepared to shed 200 gallons of blood for the nourishment of the spiritual corpus of every individual of this world. So, does anyone know how many gallons of blood are in the body?
No, not even one. 7 or 8 pints.
1.2 to 1.5. So 200 is, you've got to completely squeeze every drop of blood out yourself 200 times, just under 200 times. So if you're feeling sometimes Sankirtan's a bit too much, you can meditate on that. getting wrung out in Sankirtan 200 times. Every last drop. Just for one, just to try and nourish one individual of this world. We go through many tests. Any comments or questions on that? So another one from Shrila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he says, it is the duty of a sadhaka to give up personal enjoyment for the sake of Krishna. Sense gratification is called enjoyment. Dovetailing one's lust for sense gratification in the service of Krishna is renunciation of enjoyment. When one converts his well of enjoyment into what is favorable for devotional service, thus giving up the spirit of enjoying those objects and accepting everything as Krishna Prasad, then this is called renunciation of enjoyment. So if you're eating, but you're feeling so grateful that Krishna's provided this, he's provided a nice cook, he's provided the ingredients to be cooked, he's provided the gas to cook it, he's provided the utensils, and he's provided you a seat to sit on and a plate to eat off. If you can be really conscious of that, then when you're eating it, then it becomes renunciation, because everything is very, you're very favorably disposed and feeling very grateful towards Krishna. So whenever we're taking prasad, we need the plate, we need the spoon, and we need the gratefulness, and then it can be a spiritual activity. But if we're just stuffing it in and thinking of how we can gratify our senses, then what is spiritual is turned into material. We can turn anything material into anything spiritual, and we can turn anything spiritual into material just by our attitude. Aligning the attitude or not aligning the attitude. So just by being lazy, we miss out on so much in Krishna consciousness. Manda samanda matayo, manda bhagi upadruta. People in this age are lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. The reason why they're always disturbed is because they're lazy, misguided, and unlucky. People that are lazy are always disturbed because they're missing opportunities all the time, so they get frustrated, And then they're very envious of other people that aren't lazy. The people that are doing all kinds of amazing things. And they're like, I would have been able to do that if this hadn't been like this. So we convert our world of enjoyment into what is favorable for devotional service. Any other comments or questions? So also another one, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he says, without knowledge of transcendental truth, no one's heart can be spiritually attuned to Lord Krishna. If one lacks knowledge of his relationship with Krishna, then the proper execution of devotional service in relationship to him is impossible. If one lacks knowledge of his relationship with Krishna, then the proper execution of devotional service in relationship to him is impossible. So then, in the Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani, Shiva Rama says, one who understands his constitutional position by knowledge and vairagya, renunciation, without knowledge one cannot have realization. The realization that one is the infinitesimal part and parcel of the Supreme Sambandha-gyan makes him unattached to material conditional life. That is the beginning of devotional service. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, one cannot engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. So I suppose we're a work in progress. We're going through the intermediary stages to where we can become aware. And then devotional service is Susukham Kartam Avyayam. Raja Vidya Raja Guyam. Guyam Akiti Prichiti. No. Raja Vidya Raja Guyam. Praksavayamam Dhamyam. Praksavagam Dhamyam. Susukham Kartam Avyayam. You know the second one? The second verse? Raja Vidya. It is the king of knowledge. Raja Vidya. It is the purest. It's 9 too. Raja Vidya Rajagoyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam. Pavitram is pure. Idam Uttamam is topmost. Pratyaksagavamam Dhamyam. Pratyak means direct experience, and Dhamyam is religion. Susukham Kartam Avyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. Any other questions or comments? Does anyone know what Varma Pradakshina Guru is? Yeah. So would that be a devotee to give somebody a book? Yeah. And also it says in Shrila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Lord Chaitanya are especially inclined to preachers who then can estimate the extra benefits preachers receive from the rain shower of their special mercy. So any questions or comments?
Can you just repeat the last thing you said, please?
Oh, one person now. Which one?
Something about showers and things like that. And
Krishna and Lord Chaitanya are especially inclined towards preachers, and those that engage in activity are showered by their mercy. That's Shrila Bhaktisiddhanta. We're just going through that now. We do a Sangha where we study that. So many very nice points. And there's a whole bunch of quotations from that Bhakti Vaibhav book by Bhakti Vikash Maharaj. Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhav, I think it's called. But I'm just trying to find, once I've found one, then I'll find them all. And also on the logo that the Gaudiya might use, one of the symbols on the logo is a printing press. So you've got Radha Krishna, you've got there's the ghee lamp, and then there's a printing press there as well. So you considered the printing and distribution of transcendental literature to be worshipful. Which is, Chief Ramanuj was talking about that a little while ago. He was saying during the time of Lord Chaitanya, the austerity wasn't distributing the books. That was the easy part. The austerity was writing the books. It took so long to write them and then to copy them. And when, who were the three devotees that went off the first preaching party? Srinivasacharya, Narottam Thakur, and Shyamananda Pandit. So they were the first three to go off and do book distribution. And they have a diary, and one of them's written in it, the scores are not so high, we're not doing so many books, like just 2 or 3 copies of this, 1 copy of that. And now, because of the printing press, we're trying to do a collective effort for 26, because it's the 60th year, that we can try to get, we reckon there's 120,000 people who are not full-time in Krishna consciousness, but are outside in the congregation. And if they all agree to do 60 books this year, then it will be a phenomenal increase in our book distribution. And different centres are pledging. I've pledged 5 sets of CCs for Scotland. And the Mandas pledged 250, so if Treats pledged something like that as well. For the year, I think, yeah. Hopefully it's for the year. Well. And it's called Be a Gardener. They had Live to Give, Be a Gardener, as soon as it can be done. So then as a yatra, we can look at how we can achieve those goals. This is also this section of notes. I made notes and I put them into my. This section is also Madhuri Kandambani. Have you started reading that yet? Yeah. So the 5 obstacles that prevent a devotee from achieving steadiness are 1, laya, which is sleep during japa, kirtan, shravanam, and smaranam. Vikshepa, distraction, this is number 2, distraction to mundane subjects. 3, apratipati, inability to do kirtan, even when laya and vikshepa are absent. So even when you're not feeling sleepy, and even when you're not distracted, there's just no taste there for the kirtan anyway. Shri Krishna Namacharitadi Sitapi Vidya. It is sweet, but because of the vidya, it doesn't taste sweet. Kashaya, number 4 is Kashaya, anger, greed, and pride. And then 5 is Rasa Vada, inability to absorb in kirtan if an opportunity for sense gratification arises. So this is by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, taking us scientifically and systematically through the process. So the challenge is for the great acharyas like Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, was they were conversant with the scriptures and the process of devotional service, and it was how to make it available so that people en masse could take up devotional service. And there's this famous prayer from Madhuri Kandamani. "O friend, why are you giving up the nectar of Krishna's names to talk about such useless things as family life, security, and all? What can I say to you? I myself am so wicked, though I perceive the precious jewel of bhakti by the mercy of the spiritual master. I'm so unfortunate that I kept it tied in the hem of my cloth, unaware of its value. I was searching out a cracked cowrie shell, a tiny speck of false happiness on the shore of mundane activities. Thus wandering here and there, I passed the years of my life in vain, not practicing any activity of bhakti. I have simply shown lethargy." So this is, so this was the one that we read. Okay. Yes, so if you get a chance when you go, you can go to the places where the acharyas go to Mayapur, and you can go to the house that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur grew up in, where Bhaktivinoda Thakur has a house across the Jalangi.
Can you speak about the past time of the baptism?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, so Shrila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he decided that before he would start the Gaudiya Math, he needed to get purified. So he decided he would chant 1 billion names. So to chant 1 billion names, you have to chant 192 rounds every day for 10 years. That's why there's a picture of him with an umbrella, because the little shelter that he was in was leaking and he didn't have time to fix it. So he just put an umbrella up. He sat underneath the umbrella inside the little samadhi thing that he was chanting in, the kutia. And the beads that he chanted 1 billion names on are the same beads that Bhaktivinoda Thakur chanted 1 billion names on also. So you can go and see those beads. They're very, very smooth, as you can imagine. And of course, he didn't need to do that, but he was showing how everything is based upon chanting the holy name. You know, if you're preparing to do something, then chant the holy name. That's the foundational practice. And Sri Ramanuj was saying to me that if you can just chant once, 192, 364s, since your japa will never be the same again. But you'd have to get up really early, and then you'd have to just chant. You wouldn't have time to, if you did eat something, it would have to be something real quick, you know. You just have to chant. It'll take you, if you're chanting, if it takes you 7 minutes to chant around, it's going to take 24 hours. If you can chant 6-minute rounds, then you can get 10 done an hour. So that would take you about 19 hours. One time there was 3 of us, we stayed back here and we did 108 rounds for 3 days. And I remember the next day on Sankirtan, it was really easy to do Sankirtan. It's just like coming out like the Ganga, just speaking of that. The person was looking at me like, and I was listening to it coming out, and I was like, where's this coming from, you know? Yeah, when I first started, I've compiled like 1,400 points, and when I first started doing it was just going to be points on the holy name. But I was reading so many different things which were really good, and I couldn't resist it. So then, it's not just about chanting the holy name, there's so many things in there now. So what I need to do now is go back through, just take out the ones about the holy name, which will be about, I think, maybe 500. And then you could take a particular point and you could put your own experiences of how that point had helped you and inspired you, you know. And then you'd have a little book. It's very easy to write books these days as well. You just give the manuscript to Amazon, and they make the book. They don't charge you. As soon as a book sells, they take 40%. So you could just do 1 book, or you could do 1,000 books. But whatever you sell, because people, they go online, they order the book, then it gets printed, and then the Amazon take their cut. That's what Shyamasundar Prabhu is doing with his books on cows. Vedic Dharma, this is by Guru Govinda Maharaj. Narottam Das Thakur has said, Naiter Yara Karuna Habi Braja Radha Krishna Paibi. When one receives the mercy of Nityananda, one can attain the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna very easily. If Nityananda Prabhu will shower his mercy on you, he will kick you very hard, and then the strong bondage will be finished. Otherwise, it is not easy to break this attachment.
Hare Krishna. How's this this kick? How does it manifest? How would it manifest, this hard kick?
Well, usually there's like as you're walking along, you see like a kind of brownish thing behind the clouds, and then suddenly it comes out, and you feel it kick you in the backside. Well, just like Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur was saying, your path will be strewn with thorns. So if we're obsessed all the time on everything being nice and smooth and no problems, then when the Lord is coming in to show some special mercy and break our attachments, we won't be able to appreciate it, because we'll be so attached with our mindset of how we think things should be. But if everything goes according to how we think things should be, then we won't get out the material world, because all our plan making is all based upon our past experience of the material world. So Krishna intervenes, and he's always upsetting our plans. So a devotee, as he becomes more advanced, he becomes more malleable to wherever the situation is, and he just immediately deals with it, takes to it, rather than becoming grumpy. Oh, why did it have to happen like this? It should have happened like that. So you have to have that mindset that you can be very flexible with whatever life throws at you, and not attached to your idea and your plan of the way you think it should have been. And then Lord Nityananda, Lord Nityananda, he kicked Shivananda Shane on the chest and said, I hope all your sons die. And Shivananda Shane's wife burst into tears. And Shivananda Shane chastised his wife. He said, why are you crying? I've inconvenienced Lord Nityananda. I deserve so much more than this. And when Lord Nityananda saw that Shivananda Shane took it like that, he immediately embraced him. Immediately it melted his heart, So if we can do the same, when Lord Nityananda kicks us, when we experience some difficulty, some inconvenience, if we can immediately embrace it and thank Lord Nityananda, then immediately he'll embrace us. He'll be pleased with us. This is from Japa Meditations. The mind is a mirror for the bounded soul to observe its consciousness, to see its soul. When that mirror is dirty, the image is distorted. We see a controller, not a servant, and don't feel the soul, the devotion, the bliss. The dust is our material thoughts, decisions, and self-conceptions. Stop that, and the pure soul is reflected on the mind. So I focus on the name, stop the mind, reveal the soul, and feel relief. What a relief. Our only relief, basking in the soul. But the dust of the mind, the sense of not being the soul, says, no, let me enjoy and suffer. How unfortunate. That's from Japa Meditations. Looks like these are all Japa Meditations. Okay. So we'll have an arti now, and then we can get ready. What are you doing today, do you know?
Number 7.
Number 7, okay. Going round in circles in number 7. Must be getting near the end now, eh? ISKCON Guru in the Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shrila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Go Premanandi.
Hare Bo. His Grace Adhoksaja Krishna Prabhu Ki. Jai.
All of you Ki Jai.